On a distant planet far from Earth, the landscape was blanketed in white. Ice and snow covered everything, and the cold wind howled like a wild beast. This was Zira's home, a place where survival was a daily struggle. She was a huntress, a member of a proud alien race that had lived on this harsh planet for generations. But lately things had changed. The cold was more intense than ever, and many of her people were sick. They needed warmth to survive. Zira stood alone in the icy wasteland, her breath visible in the frigid air. She wore a thick, fur-lined suit that protected her from the biting cold. Despite her tough exterior, she felt a deep ache inside her. The cold was not just outside. It was creeping into her heart. She missed the warmth of her family, the laughter of her friends, and the comfort of her home. But she could not give up. Zira was strong and determined. She had to find food and warmth for her people. As she walked through the snow, Zira's sharp eyes scanned the horizon. She looked for signs of life. The creatures that roamed her planet were becoming scarce. Many had died from the cold or had fled to warmer places. Zira's stomach growled, reminding her that she needed to eat. She spotted a small, furry animal burrowing in the snow. With quick movements, she crouched low and prepared to strike. But just as she was about to leap, a strange sound echoed in the distance. It was unlike anything she had ever heard before, a loud roar, followed by a thud. Zira paused, her instincts kicking in. Curiosity mixed with caution. She decided to investigate. Carefully, she crept towards the noise, her heart pounding with both fear and excitement. As she moved closer, Zira came to a ridge that overlooked a clearing. There, she saw something incredible, a large metal object, shining under the pale sunlight. It was unlike any creature she knew. It had smooth, shiny surfaces and made a loud noise as it landed. Zira's eyes widened in wonder. This was a ship, and it was clear that it had come from the stars. Suddenly, several figures emerged from the ship. They were humans, strange beings with 2 arms and 2 legs, just like Zira, but much shorter. They wore bright suits that glimmered in the light. Zira felt a mix of fear and curiosity. She had heard stories about humans, the beings who lived on a blue planet far away. They were said to be intelligent and strong, but also dangerous. Zira decided to stay hidden. She watched as the humans unpacked their gear. They seemed excited, laughing and pointing at things. One of them, a tall man with dark hair, took out a strange device that made a soft beeping noise. Zira squinted, trying to understand what they were doing. She noticed they were setting up a camp, and her heart sank. The humans were in her territory. She felt a deep sense of conflict. Should she approach them? Could they help her people? But what if they were here to conquer? Zira had heard stories of other tribes being attacked by humans. Her instincts told her to stay away. But the thought of her people suffering pushed her to consider a different path. Zira took a deep breath and made her decision. She would approach them, but she would be careful. As she stepped out from behind the snow-covered rocks, she tried to appear non-threatening. Her heart raced, and she could hear the loud thumping in her chest. The humans noticed her immediately. They froze, their laughter fading into silence. Zira raised her hands to show she meant no harm. She could see their eyes widen in shock. The tall man stepped forward slowly, and Zira felt both fear and hope. "Hello," he called out, his voice filled with surprise. Zira tilted her head, trying to understand. She had never heard a human speak before. The sound was strange yet soothing. Zira took a step closer, her eyes locked onto his. She felt a strange connection, as if he could understand her pain. She pointed to her chest, and then gestured toward the icy landscape, trying to show them her struggle. "I need warmth," she thought. "Please help me." The man looked back at his team, and they exchanged confused glances. Zira could sense their fear, but she didn't give up. She knelt down in the snow, her eyes pleading. After a moment, the tall man nodded slowly, as if he understood. He took off his helmet, revealing his face. Zira was surprised to see his expression. concern mixed with curiosity. He moved closer and spoke again. "We can help," he said, his voice gentle. Zira's heart soared. Maybe they were not here to hurt her. Maybe they were her chance for salvation. She felt a glimmer of hope for the first time in a long while. The Huntress had taken a step towards the unknown, and now she had to trust these strange beings from the stars. Together, they could find a way to bring warmth back to her people. As she stood, Zira realized that this meeting could change everything. The cold was still around her, but for the first time, she felt a spark of warmth inside. Perhaps, just perhaps, the humans could help her save her race. A desperate plea. Zira stood in front of the human, her heart racing. The tall man, Captain Ryan, watched her with wide eyes, trying to understand the alien in front of him. She felt a mix of fear and hope. This was her chance to save her people, but would they really help her? "Can you speak?" Ryan asked, his voice calm but filled with curiosity. Zira shook her head. She didn't know their language, but she had to make them understand her need. With a deep breath, she began to gesture. She pointed to herself, then drew a small circle in the snow, mimicking the shape of her home planet. Ryan tilted his head, watching her closely. Zira took a step forward, feeling the icy wind whip around her. She needed to show them how serious her situation was. She placed her hands over her heart, then spread her arms wide, as if to embrace the entire world. She felt a rush of emotions as she thought of her sick people, their frail bodies struggling against the cold. "I need warmth," she thought, willing the words to reach him. She pointed to the sky, then to the humans. She mimicked a shivering motion, wrapping her arms around herself as if to ward off the chill. Ryan's expression softened as he began to understand. He nodded slowly, stepping closer. "You're cold," he said, his voice gentle, "and you need warmth for your people." Zira felt a wave of relief wash over her. He was getting it. She nodded eagerly, her hope growing stronger. The other humans were still cautious, watching from a distance. They whispered among themselves, their eyes darting back and forth between Zira and Ryan. Zira could sense their unease. She had to show them that she meant no harm. Suddenly, a young woman stepped forward. She had short hair and bright blue eyes that sparkled with curiosity. "What do you need?" she asked, her voice filled with concern. Zira pointed to the ground, then made a motion as if gathering something. She wanted to show them that her people were sick and needed help. Ryan watched closely. "Are you trying to tell us that your people are ill?" Zira nodded vigorously, feeling a tear form in her eye. She pointed to the sky, then to her chest, trying to convey that she needed warmth to heal them. The young woman took a step closer, her expression softening. "Can you take us to them?" Ryan asked. Zira felt a rush of hope. If they could see her people, they might understand how urgent the situation was. She nodded again, more confidently this time. Zira turned and began to walk back toward her home. The humans followed, still keeping their distance. The path was difficult, the snow crunching underfoot. Zira felt the cold seep into her bones, but she pushed on. She had to show them her world. As they walked, Zira glanced back at the humans. She could see their expressions changing. They were fascinated, yet cautious. Ryan walked beside her, asking questions about her planet. Zira pointed out the frozen trees and the icy hills, trying to explain the beauty of her home even in its harshness. After a while, they reached a small cave hidden among the snowdrifts. Zira entered first, her heart pounding. Inside, she saw her people huddled together, their bodies shivering against the cold. Some looked weak and frail, their faces pale and drawn. Zira felt a deep pain in her chest. She wanted to help them, to bring them warmth. "Here they are," Zira said, pointing to her people. She turned to the humans, her eyes wide with desperation. "Please, help them." Ryan and the young woman stepped inside the cave, their faces falling as they saw the suffering. The other humans followed, their eyes filled with sympathy. Zira watched as they moved closer, kneeling beside her people. She saw Ryan reach out a hand to one of the sick aliens, gently touching their forehead. "They need warmth," Zira said, her voice filled with urgency. "They cannot survive like this." Ryan nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "We have technology that can help," he said, looking at his team. "We can create a device that will provide warmth. But we need your help, Zira. You know your people better than we do." Zira felt a surge of determination. "I will do anything," she exclaimed. She pointed to the sick, then to Ryan and his team, willing them to understand that time was running out. The young woman spoke up. "We need materials to build the device. Can you guide us to find what we need?" Zira nodded fiercely, ready to lead them. She could not let her people suffer any longer. With renewed hope, Zira left the cave, leading the humans back into the icy landscape. She felt their presence behind her, a mix of fear and trust. The cold wind whipped around them, but Zira pushed forward, fueled by the desire to save her race. As they walked, Zira felt a warmth growing in her heart. For the first time in a long while, she believed that they could succeed. With the humans by her side, she would fight to bring warmth back to her people, no matter what it took. Together, they would face the challenges ahead and create a future filled with hope. Building trust. The icy wind howled around Zira as she led the humans deeper into her frozen world. With each step, she felt a mix of excitement and fear. The humans were strange and different, but they had shown kindness. They wanted to help her people, and for that, she was grateful. As they walked, Zira glanced back at Ryan and the young woman, whose name she learned was Lisa. They were talking quietly, pointing at their equipment and discussing plans. Zira felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps together, they could create something amazing. After some time, they reached a large hollow tree that had been turned to ice. The trunk was thick and strong, and Zira knew it was the perfect place to find materials. She gestured to the tree, urging the humans to gather around. "This tree can help," she said, pointing to the frozen bark. "It is strong and will hold the warmth." Ryan stepped forward, examining the tree. "We can use this to build the device," he said, his eyes sparkling with ideas. "But we need to cut it down first. Do you have tools?" Zira frowned, unsure. She had never used tools like the humans did. She pointed to her hands and then made a cutting motion in the air. Ryan nodded, understanding her hesitation. "Don't worry. We have tools with us. We can show you how to use them." Zira felt a twinge of fear. She wanted to help, but what if she messed up? Ryan seemed to sense her uncertainty. "It's okay, Zira. Just watch, and you will learn," he reassured her. As the humans got to work, Zira stepped back, watching closely. They pulled out strange metal tools that glinted in the light. Ryan showed Lisa how to use a saw, and she began to cut into the icy bark. Zira's heart raced as she watched them work. She wanted to be part of this, to help them build the warmth device, but she didn't know how. After a few moments, Ryan turned to Zira, sensing her struggle. "Come here," he said, gesturing for her to join them. Zira took a deep breath and stepped forward, feeling the cold bite at her skin. Ryan handed her a smaller tool, shaped like a curved knife. "This is a chisel," he explained. "You can use it to help shape the wood." Zira took the chisel, feeling its cold weight in her hands. She watched Ryan as he demonstrated. He placed the chisel against the ice and struck it with a hammer. The ice shattered with a satisfying crack. Zira felt a thrill of excitement. She wanted to try. With careful movements, she placed the chisel against the tree and swung the hammer. The chisel sank into the ice, and she felt a rush of power. It worked. Zira smiled, her confidence growing as she chipped away at the frozen bark. The humans cheered her on, and soon she found a rhythm. Zira laughed with them, feeling the warmth of their encouragement. For the first time, she felt like she was part of a team, working together for a common goal. As they worked, Ryan and Lisa shared stories of their home on Earth. They spoke of warm beaches, lush forests, and bright cities filled with life. Zira listened, fascinated by their tales. She had never seen such places. Her world was so different. The more they talked, the more she realized that despite their differences, they shared similar hopes and dreams. When the sun began to set, casting a golden light across the snowy landscape, Zira and the humans had gathered enough materials. They had cut enough ice and wood to build the device that would bring warmth to her people. Zira felt a sense of pride swelling in her chest. Together, they had accomplished so much. As they prepared to return to the cave, Zira turned to Ryan, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "You have helped me more than I can say." Ryan smiled back at her. "We're in this together, Zira. We're all on the same team now." Zira felt a warm glow spread through her heart. It was a feeling she hadn't experienced in a long time. For too long, she had been alone in her fight for survival. But now, with the humans by her side, she felt a sense of belonging. As they made their way back to the cave, Zira realized that trust was being built between them. She could see it in the way the humans looked at her and the way they worked together. Each moment spent with them was a step toward understanding, a step toward friendship. When they arrived at the cave, Zira felt a wave of determination wash over her. They were close to creating something that could save her people. She glanced at Ryan and Lisa, who were busy preparing the materials. Their laughter filled the air, and Zira couldn't help but smile. Together, they were not just building a device, they were building a bond. Zira knew that this friendship could change everything. With the humans' help, she felt hopeful for the future. They would bring warmth back to her people and show the galaxy that even the coldest worlds could be warmed by trust and friendship. A shared goal. As the sun dipped below the icy horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, Zira and the humans gathered inside the cave. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement and determination. They had worked hard to gather materials, and now they were ready to create the warmth device that could save her people. Zira looked around at her new friends. Ryan was sketching plans on a piece of metal, using a small light to illuminate his work. Lisa was sorting through the materials they had collected, her brow furrowed in concentration. Other members of the human team stood close by, discussing how to assemble everything. Zira felt a swell of pride in her chest. They were united by a common goal. "Okay, everyone," Ryan called out, breaking the chatter. "Let's review what we have and how we're going to put this together." He gestured to the materials spread out before them. The strong wood from the hollow tree, the ice they had harvested, and various tools from their ship. Zira stepped closer, eager to contribute. "We need to make sure the device can hold the heat," she said, pointing to the ice. Zira stepped closer, eager to contribute. "We need to make sure the device can hold the heat," she said, pointing to the ice. "It will melt if we don't protect it." Ryan nodded, impressed by her insight. "That's right, Zira. We need to insulate it. Lisa, can we use some of the fabric from our suits?" Ryan asked. Lisa nodded, pulling out a piece of thick, insulated material. "This should work. It will keep the warmth in," she replied, showing the fabric to Zira. Zira examined it closely. It was soft yet strong, a sharp contrast to the harshness of the world outside. "I can help with this," Zira said, her voice filled with enthusiasm. "I know how to create a shell from our strong ice. It will protect the warmth inside." Ryan smiled at her. "Great idea. Let's get started then. We'll need to build the outer layer first." They all began to work together, moving with purpose. Zira felt a sense of excitement as she demonstrated how to shape the ice. She carved it with precision, using her strength to mold it into a protective shell. The humans watched in awe, amazed by her skill and determination. "Wow, you're really good at this," Lisa exclaimed, her eyes shining with admiration. Zira felt a rush of warmth at her praise. She had always thought of herself as a huntress, but now she was also a builder. She was part of something bigger. As they continued working, Zira shared stories about her people, their traditions, and their struggles against the cold. The humans listened intently, absorbing her words. In return, they told her more about Earth, about their cities, their technology, and their ways of life. Zira was fascinated. The more she learned, the more she realized how similar their hopes and dreams were. "We all want to protect those we love," Ryan said, pausing to look at Zira. "That's what drives us, no matter where we come from." Zira nodded, her heart swelling with understanding. "Yes, I want to save my people. They are suffering, and I cannot let them die. But I also want to protect this place, my home." The humans exchanged glances, their expressions thoughtful. "We want to help you," Lisa said, her voice filled with sincerity. "We're not just here to build a device. We want to make a real difference." Zira felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. Their words meant more than she could express. They were not just strangers from another planet. They were allies, fighting for a shared goal. As the night deepened, they worked tirelessly, laughter and shouts of encouragement filling the cave. They shared snacks, and Zira even offered some of the dried food her people had stored. The humans were hesitant at first, but soon discovered that it was surprisingly delicious. Zira watched with joy as they enjoyed her food, feeling more connected to them than ever. Finally, after hours of hard work, they stood back to admire their creation. The warmth device was a beautiful sight. The outer shell was made of strong ice, perfectly shaped and insulated with the fabric from the human suits. Inside, they had carefully arranged materials that would generate heat. "Now we just need to activate it," Ryan said, excitement evident in his voice. "Zira, do you want to do the honors?" Zira's heart raced. She felt honored and nervous at the same time. "Yes, I want to do this." She stepped forward, taking a deep breath. She placed her hands on the device, feeling the energy pulsing within. With a determined push, she activated it. The device hummed to life, and a warm glow began to emanate from within. Zira gasped as she felt the heat wash over her. The warmth spread through the cave, wrapping around her like a comforting blanket. The humans cheered, their faces alight with joy. "It's working," Lisa exclaimed, clapping her hands in excitement. Zira couldn't help but smile. She had done it. They had done it together. As the warmth enveloped them, Zira felt a deep sense of accomplishment. They had created something special, a symbol of their friendship and shared purpose. The device would help her people survive the cold and heal from their illness. In that moment, Zira knew that they were no longer just an alien huntress and a group of humans. They were a team, united by their goal to bring warmth and hope to her planet. As they celebrated their success, Zira realized that together, they could achieve anything. The future looked brighter than ever, and she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead with her new friends by her side. The Huntress struggle. The next morning, Zira awoke to the warm glow of the device they had built together. The cave, once cold and harsh, now felt like a sanctuary. She smiled, feeling the heat on her skin. Her people were finally safe from the biting cold. But as she stretched and prepared for the day, a shadow of worry clouded her heart. While the warmth device was a significant step, Zira knew it was only the beginning. Her people still needed medicine to heal from their sickness, and there was a shortage of food. Without these essentials, the warmth alone would not save them. She needed to find a way to provide for them. Zira stepped out of the cave, breathing in the fresh, crisp air. The sun shone brightly, and the snow sparkled like diamonds. The beauty of her home made her heart ache. She loved this place, but it was unforgiving. The harsh winters had taken a toll on her people, and she felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. As she walked through the snow, Zira spotted Ryan and Lisa working on their gear. They were planning their next steps. Zira approached them, determined to share her thoughts. "Ryan, Lisa," she called, her voice steady but filled with urgency. "We need to talk. The warmth device is great, But my people still need food and medicine. We must find a way to help them. Ryan looked up, his expression serious. You're right, Zira. We can't forget about the other challenges. What do you think we should do? Zira took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. There are places nearby where we can find food. There are roots and berries that grow in the warmer months, but we also hunt for meat. It's harder to find now, but we might still have a chance. Lisa nodded, her blue eyes filled with determination. And what about the medicine? Do you know where we can get that? Zira shook her head. No, it is not easy to find. The plants we use for healing are deep in the forest. It will take time and effort to gather them. She felt a flutter of doubt. Would the humans be willing to help her with this? Ryan's expression softened. We will help you, Zira. We'll go with you to gather food and search for medicine. You're not alone in this. Zira felt a surge of gratitude. Thank you, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. But it will be dangerous. The forest can be tricky, and there are predators. We're ready for whatever comes, Lisa said, her voice filled with confidence. We'll stick together. That's what teams do. With their support, Zira felt her fears begin to fade. Together, they could face any challenge. She led them into the forest, the air growing colder as they moved deeper into the trees. The landscape changed, with towering pines standing tall against the bright blue sky. As they walked, Zira shared her knowledge of the forest. She pointed out edible plants and told stories about the animals that lived here. Ryan and Lisa listened closely, absorbing everything she said. The bond between them grew stronger with each step. After some time, they reached a clearing where Zira knew wild berries grew in the summer. She knelt down, brushing aside the snow to reveal the frozen bushes beneath. These will provide food for my people, she explained, digging up what remained of the roots. Ryan and Lisa joined her, working alongside Zira. They carefully collected the roots and discussed how to prepare them for their journey back. Just as they were finishing, Zira suddenly froze, her senses alert. Listen, she whispered, her eyes scanning the trees. Ryan and Lisa halted, their faces turning serious. The sound of rustling leaves reached their ears, followed by a low growl. Zira's heart raced. We need to hide, she urged, pulling them behind a thick tree trunk. She peered around the side, her breath quickening. In the clearing, a large predator emerged, a snow wolf, its fur white as the snow, its eyes sharp and hungry. The wolf sniffed the air, sensing something was off. Zira's instincts kicked in. She had faced predators before, but this time she had her friends to protect as well. She could feel the weight of her responsibility. Stay quiet, she whispered, feeling the tension in the air. Ryan and Lisa nodded, their expressions tense. Zira gripped her chisel tightly, prepared to defend her friends if necessary. The wolf prowled closer, its eyes scanning the area. Zira held her breath, hoping it wouldn't find them. The wolf was known for its keen senses, and she knew they had to be careful. Suddenly, the wolf turned its head, sniffing the ground again. Zira felt a surge of panic. It's going to find us, she thought. Just then, Lisa grabbed a small rock from the ground and tossed it in the opposite direction. The wolf perked up, its attention shifting. It bounded after the sound, giving Zira and her friends a chance to escape. Zira quickly motioned for them to move, and they quietly slipped away, careful not to make a sound. Once they were safely out of sight, Zira let out a sigh of relief. Thank you, Lisa, she said, her heart still pounding. You saved us. I was just trying to help, Lisa replied, her voice shaking slightly. But we can't let our guard down. This forest is dangerous. Zira nodded, feeling the new sense of determination. They could face dangers together, but they also needed to be cautious. They resumed their search for food, and with every step, Zira felt more confident in her role as a leader. As they moved deeper into the forest, Zira knew that this journey was more than just a hunt. It was a test of her strength, her ability to protect her friends, and her commitment to her people. She would fight for them, no matter the cost. Together, they would overcome any obstacle and build a future filled with warmth and hope. The final showdown. As the days passed, Zira and the humans continued their mission to gather food and medicine for her people. The warmth device was working well, providing comfort in the cave, but the pressure to find more resources weighed heavily on Zira. They had to act quickly before the cold weather took its toll on her family and friends. One chilly morning, Zira woke up with a determined heart. She knew they needed to venture deeper into the forest than ever before. "Today, we will find the plants I told you about," she announced to Ryan and Lisa as they gathered their supplies. "Are you sure they're safe?" Ryan asked, tightening the straps on his backpack. "We can't afford to run into that wolf again." Zira nodded. "Yes, but the deeper we go, the more cautious we must be. There are dangers, but I believe we can succeed." With their minds set, they ventured into the heart of the forest. The trees stood tall and silent, their branches heavy with frost. The air was crisp, and Zira led the way, her senses sharp. She had been here many times before, but today felt different. Today was crucial. After walking for a while, they reached a secluded area filled with thick bushes. Zira recognized the healing plants she sought, their leaves peeking out from beneath the snow. "Here," she exclaimed, pointing at the greenery. "This is it." As they knelt to collect the plants, a strange feeling crept over Zira. She glanced around, sensing that something was watching them. Her instincts kicked in. "We should hurry," she urged, her voice tense. "We need to get back to the cave before anything finds us." Just then, a rustle in the bushes caught her attention. Zira's heart raced. She turned to see the same snow wolf they had encountered before, its fur blending into the winter landscape. The wolf's eyes glinted with hunger, and Zira knew they were in trouble. "It's back," she shouted, raising her chisel. "We need to defend ourselves." Ryan and Lisa quickly scrambled to their feet, their faces pale with fear. "What do we do?" Lisa asked, her voice shaky. "Stay close to me," Zira commanded, her warrior spirit rising. "We have to work together." The wolf advanced slowly, its powerful muscles rippling beneath its fur. Zira could see its teeth bared, ready to attack. She felt the weight of her friends' lives resting on her shoulders. They couldn't afford to lose anyone now. "On my count, we'll distract it," Zira said, feeling the adrenaline surge through her. "Ryan, throw a rock to the left, and Lisa, make some noise to draw its attention." Ryan nodded, his eyes focused. "Got it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. As Zira yelled, Ryan hurled a rock into the bushes, and Lisa clapped her hands and shouted. The wolf turned its head, confused by the sudden sounds. Seizing the moment, Zira lunged forward, swinging her chisel with all her strength. The wolf was fast, dodging to the side and leaping over a fallen log. Zira stumbled but quickly regained her footing. She could feel her heart pounding in her chest. "We need to separate. It can't follow all of us." "Okay," Ryan agreed, glancing at the dense trees nearby. "We'll split up and try to distract it." "Meet back at the cave," Zira shouted, determination filling her voice. "Now go." The three of them took off in different directions. Zira ran, her breath coming in quick gasps. She could hear the wolf growling, its heavy footsteps pounding behind her. She zigzagged through the trees, hoping to lose it in the thick underbrush. Zira knew the forest well, and she used every trick she had learned as a huntress. She ducked beneath branches and leaped over roots, glancing back to see the wolf struggling to keep up. But it was relentless, its eyes locked on her. As she turned a corner, Zira spotted a small ledge that overlooked a shallow ravine. This could work, she thought, feeling a spark of hope. She climbed up, finding a sturdy branch to balance on. The wolf reached the ledge, snarling as it looked up at her. "You won't get me that easily," Zira said, her voice steady. She tightened her grip on her chisel, ready to defend herself. Just then, she heard a noise behind her. Ryan and Lisa had made their way back, each of them breathing heavily but unharmed. "Zira," Ryan called out, his voice laced with worry. "Are you okay?" "Yes," Zira replied, her eyes never leaving the wolf. "But it's right here." Seeing that they were all together, Zira felt a sense of strength. "We need to push it back," she said. "If we can work together, we can scare it off." Ryan nodded. "Let's do it." The three of them moved closer to the edge of the ledge. Zira raised her chisel, and Ryan picked up another rock. Lisa clapped her hands again, making loud sounds to distract the wolf. The wolf, sensing their unity, hesitated for a moment. It growled, clearly confused by their collective energy. Zira saw her chance. "Now," she yelled. They all shouted together, their voices echoing through the forest. Zira swung her chisel, and Ryan threw the rock down into the ravine. The noise startled the wolf, making it step back. For a moment, it seemed unsure. Then, sensing the growing threat, the wolf turned and dashed back into the trees, disappearing into the shadows. Zira let out a sigh of relief, her body trembling with adrenaline. "We did it," she exclaimed, looking at her friends. "We worked together." Ryan grinned, wiping the sweat from his brow. "That was close. I didn't think we'd make it." Lisa laughed, a mix of relief and joy. "We make a pretty good team, don't we?" Zira felt a warmth in her heart as she looked at them. "Yes, we do. We faced the danger together and came out stronger." As they made their way back to the cave, Zira knew this experience had changed them. They had faced a real threat and emerged victorious, united in their mission. With the healing plants and roots they had gathered, Zira felt hopeful for her people's future. They had faced the final showdown and triumphed. Together, they would continue to fight for warmth, food, and healing, creating a new beginning for her world. A new dawn. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, Zira awoke in the cave filled with warmth. The soft glow from the warmth device illuminated the space, casting gentle shadows on the walls. She smiled, recalling the challenges they had faced together and the bond they had formed. Today would be different. Today, they would begin to heal her people. Zira stretched and glanced around the cave. Ryan and Lisa were still asleep, their faces peaceful in the morning light. She felt a surge of gratitude for their friendship and support. They had fought alongside her, facing dangers and overcoming obstacles, and now they were ready to bring hope to her home. After a quick breakfast of the roots they had gathered, Zira gently nudged her friends awake. "Wake up. It's a new day, and we have work to do," she said, her voice cheerful. Ryan yawned, rubbing his eyes. "What's the plan for today?" he asked, stretching his arms. "We need to prepare the healing plants and get back to my village," Zira replied, her heart racing with excitement. "With these plants, we can help everyone recover from their illness." Lisa jumped up, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Let's do it. I can't wait to see how we can help your people." They packed their supplies and set out toward Zira's village, the morning air crisp and refreshing. As they walked, Zira shared stories about her home, the tall trees, the glistening rivers, and the warmth of her community. Her friends listened eagerly, feeling the spirit of her world come alive in their minds. As they approached the village, Zira felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. Would her people accept the help from these outsiders? Would they understand the bond she had formed with Ryan and Lisa? She pushed the doubts aside. They had come too far to turn back now. When they arrived, Zira's heart sank at the sight before her. The village looked tired and worn. Many of her people were bundled in furs, sitting close to the warmth of small fires. The sickness had taken its toll, and Zira could see the worry etched on their faces. "Zira," a voice called out. It was her mother, Lara, her eyes wide with surprise. "You're back. We were so worried about you." "I'm here, Mother," Zira said, running to embrace her. "I brought help. These are my friends, Ryan and Lisa." Lara stepped back, studying the two humans with a mix of curiosity and concern. Humans? Why have you brought them here? They have been helping me, Zira explained, her voice steady. Together, we gathered healing plants and food. We can save our village. The villagers gathered around, whispering among themselves. Zira felt the weight of their gazes. Please, trust me, she pleaded. They risked their lives to help us. We need their knowledge and strength. After a tense moment, Lyra nodded slowly. If you believe in them, Zira, then I will too. Ryan stepped forward, his expression earnest. We're here to help. We have the healing plants that can bring relief to your people. The villagers murmured, their expressions softening. Lisa chimed in. We've learned so much from Zira. We can work together to heal everyone. With Zira leading the way, they began to prepare the healing plants. Zira showed Ryan and Lisa how to extract the essence from the leaves and roots. They worked side by side, laughter mingling with the scent of the plants. The villagers watched with growing interest, intrigued by the human skills and teamwork. As they mixed the healing concoction, Zira noticed the villagers growing more hopeful. The whispers turned into conversations, and soon they were asking questions and offering help. Zira felt her heart swell with pride. They were all coming together, united by a common goal. Once they had prepared enough medicine, Zira and her friends began distributing it to the villagers. Zira watched as her people took the medicine, their faces filled with hope. This will help you feel better, she assured them, her voice filled with warmth. Days passed, and slowly the village began to recover. The sickness that had plagued them started to fade, and laughter began to return. Zira and her friends worked tirelessly, teaching the villagers how to prepare the healing plants themselves. One afternoon, as Zira stood outside her home, she watched the children playing in the snow, their laughter ringing through the air. She felt a sense of joy and relief wash over her. They had overcome so much, and now, a new dawn was rising for her people. Ryan and Lisa joined her, standing side by side. We did it, Lisa said, her eyes shining. Your people are healing. Yes, we did, Zira replied, her heart full. But it's not just me. It's all of us together. Ryan smiled, placing a hand on her shoulder. You're an incredible leader, Zira. Your strength brought us all here. Zira felt a blush rise to her cheeks. I couldn't have done it without you both. You believed in me when I needed it most. As the sun began to set, casting a golden light over the village, Zira knew they had created something beautiful. They had formed a bond that transcended worlds, a connection that would last long after they had gone back to their homes. We should celebrate, Zira suggested, her voice brightening with excitement. Let's have a feast tonight to thank everyone for their hard work. Ryan and Lisa nodded enthusiastically. Great idea, Ryan exclaimed. We can share stories and enjoy the food together. As the villagers gathered around the fire that evening, Zira felt a sense of belonging. They shared laughter, food, and stories. The warmth of friendship surrounded them, creating a bright light in the chilly night. Zira looked around at her people and her friends, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. They had faced challenges, conquered fears, and discovered the power of unity. Together, they had created a new dawn, filled with hope and promise for the future. As the stars twinkled above, Zira knew this was just the beginning. They would continue to work together, bridging the gap between their worlds and building a brighter future for all. In her heart, she understood that love and friendship could conquer any darkness, and she was ready to embrace whatever adventures lay ahead.